David Howard's Art Scene.
A bookkeeper looks like a bookkeeper because he's bookkeeping. An artist looks like an artist because he's working with all these materials, and his clothes reflect some of the materials because you get them on you. So and you just dress differently because you are different.
As I said, if you're not afraid of the word no, and you're not afraid of any kind of rejection, because rejection is just one person's opinion, then you should do fine with it.
Do you find that important to the piece? Is that important to you, to how I made it, to how you see it?
On the other hand, other artists are not able to really make a living whatsoever at all.
The involvement of money and power as motivating factors in the art world.
The museum is to launder rich people's money and to make them feel good about themselves.
We're just mortal men, and we're going to live and die, and we're here for a short period of time. And in that short period of time, if we want to leave something for humanity to look at, for history, we have to find something that we're able to do. And if it's art, you should do art.
It's always there. It's just waiting to come out when you start painting or really start working on something that you enjoy. Like the arts of what I enjoy. I'm trying to do something with it, and then I feel that you have to be involved that way. And the experience on these, because everything was done immediately with my hands and with crayons, like a kid would do. I just felt closer to them probably than I did anything else I've ever done. Even though they're more abstract and there's less, what people really, some people look at a painting and they want to see something there. A friend came over and he says, well, I didn't see anything there. And I said, well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to feel something from it, because that's how they were done, with that kind of feeling. And then he started, I think he understood after I said, to look for a feeling, and not just, a picture of something. The feeling you get, that's the feeling that it has. And maybe it'll be the same feeling the artist had, and maybe not. But if you get a feeling from it, then that means there was feeling put into it when it was done. That's the whole thing about art. That's what everybody tries to do. Once in a while it happens and then it feels good.
What do you like most about being an artist?
The freedom to really think about the things that you want to more or less be able to really do what you want to do. You don't have to worry as much about the status that you have in society, because you're an artist. You're separate. You have a status that very few people have, and it's nice. I like that. I can be rich without having a whole bunch of money.
Rich in which way?
Just morally wealthy. Just the feeling, just rich in feelings, I guess. I can relate to my own feelings, and so that I can see other people's feelings. I feel that that's a certain kind of wealth that most people miss out on. The cultural wealth that you get, that you have as an artist, is that you're part of the culture. You're helping create the culture that you live in. The things like that. There's a great deal of wealth in that. Not just money. There's a lot of importance on possessions and money today. But if I want a nice painting, I can make one. I don't have to spend $20,000 for it. I guess that's part of it. There are things that an artist sees and the feelings that he has because of his closeness with what he's doing and everything around him that creates a certain wealth that other people don't have. I think our society knows that, and that's why they support artists and try to give artists the things that they need just to survive. The history of the world is written in art, from the cave paintings all up through now. And so society now has all the mechanical things, and all the electronic ways and means of recording history, but we still have art. And art's one person's way of showing what the world is like to him, and all the knowledge he's gained through art schools and all of the other artists he's met and all the people he's met. So we bring that into us, and then people see what we see through what we do. It's that kind of a mirror. It's like, I suppose, a double mirror. And like we're reflecting how we feel also, and because we're included in society. The artists are part of the whole thing.
I do it because I want to do it. I think the challenge for me is to do the work. I don't get attached to my work. When it's done, you move on to the next piece. I'm motivated by the fact that I just work. I enjoy working, and I work all the time at it. And there's my motivation. What it means for me basically is what I get from my work is the process of doing the work. It is very cut and dry for me. I work on the painting, and that's where I'm getting my, if there is a philosophy to it, it's the process of doing the work. But it's pretty much as antiseptic as that. When it's done, you go to the next piece. There's a drive. I mean, you either commit yourself to doing the work or you don't. I commit myself to coming and working every day. It's not a chore. It's just what has to be done. You know, you just have to do the work. The artwork is all important, sure. If it becomes all important for you, then it should be successful, and then the contact with other people can be an easy process. If you're not satisfied with your work, then maybe you don't want to show it to other people. It's a personal thing what I'm learning. I think you're learning per piece about progressing as an artist and progressing for the images you're making. I tend to treat my work somewhat cold by just going to it, doing it, and then finding what I need to find from the work, completing it, and going to the next piece. I don't labor over work a very long time. It's rare that I'll spend more than a week on a painting. And just by doing as many as I do and working as much as I do, I get the fulfillment that I need, which is knowing that I'm progressing, and it's important for me to do that. You join all the facets of this together. When you join the idea that, yes, you become a serious artist, you're going to work every day, you're going to deal in the business aspect of it, you have to keep some form of sanity within yourself, and a lot of that has to do with, you know, when I say playing with the artwork, I have to have fun with what I do. I have to enjoy it, or you know, you can't do it the way you want to do it. The business is tough. It's not inaccessible, but it's a tough business, and so a lot of times if there is a letdown, if you've had a bad day, coming back to the artwork and enjoying what you're doing and having fun with it and playing can keep you sane, really. You know, it's very important to be able to do that, to kind of laugh at things, to laugh at what is going on, and if you can incorporate your personality within the artwork that way. You're going to do what you want to do. You're going to come off with some good work.
All I've wanted to do is paint. It has something to do with about expressing myself, and it has a lot to do with just getting out what I need to get out, what I can't say. And it has to come out, and it comes out through my work. mural is just about how I felt about the environment that I'm living in right now, and that's just it. I mean, it's just plain that simple. And the people got pissed off about it. I mean, I don't know. That's just what happens.
People rebelled against the mural you made?
No one rebelled against the mural. Some of the imagery that was on there got people upset to the point where they wanted me to change the piece.
So have you gone back and actually changed it, or is it the same, or what?
No,
So you left it pretty much the way you'd finished it.
I left it exactly the way I finished it.
And how long did it take? And how did it actually come about? Why did you actually make it, and how did it come together making the mural? And what size was it?
It's 30 feet high, it's 100 feet long. I painted it off of ladders, which was something I ended up having to do because I couldn't put a scaffolding system on the roof because the roof couldn't support it. So I ended up painting it with ladders, rollers, and paint brushes.
So it was very time consuming and difficult.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No, it was an act of love. When you work, your work becomes like a mirror. Whatever you are, you can look at your work and it's like a mirror. It looks right back at you. And if you're not hard, the work's not going to be hard. And if you're soft and all gushy inside, the work's going to come out all soft and gushy inside. So it's a way of almost taking the person inside you and pulling it out and looking at it and rearranging it and molding it and creating something with that. I really want to make a point of making work that I feel that is not tarnished by anything else but the work itself. And I will go to any extreme I need to go to protect that.
What do you mean by the work itself, or tarnished?
I mean the act of changing the work to make a profit.
You won't change your work in order to make it be something commercial to sell, in other words. You just want to do it for yourself.
Well, actually, I've not even approached this sellout, if that's what you're talking about. It's not even something that's asked of me. It has to do more with integrity. Trying to keep the integrity of your work at a place where you can understand it. You know that it's there.
Some people still pursue art as a labor of love, but for most individuals, they're hoping that art will lead them to gratification economically. In reality, though, that is not a rational pursuit or a realistic pursuit. As time goes on, though, it does become more realistic, but to hope for that and to pursue that really puts a tarnish or a tainting of what the idea is, of why an artist really will create something. An artist should create from his heart. An artist should create from love. An artist should create something that they believe in, that they're trying to express in their artwork, not make something that they think they're going to be able to sell. what art is totally. That's why I'm interested in it. I'm not sure if I'll ever really truly be able to understand what art is, because art is like so many different things. I don't know if it's ever possible really to understand all of it. So, but I'm beginning to get some inkling of what it is, and I realize now that it's not money. It's not dealing with a value system that is the value system in terms of money. It's doing something that you feel as if has some reason for you to do it, other than economic reasoning. That is the true essence of art. It's kind of like creating something that you feel as if that should be done, that should be stated, and you don't really care if you really get a return for it. You're going to do it anyway. A true artist will do whatever they're going to do, no matter what it is, even if they're going to starve. They don't care what it is. They're going to make those artworks anyway, because they have to do it. They're driven on to do it. I feel somehow when I create artworks that I make myself be more of an individual than if I didn't make the artworks. I find myself through the artworks, and in doing that, it enables me to realize things that I never would have realized if I had not pursued art. So things that were buried in my mind, things that I wasn't sure really existed, things that I wasn't sure really were true, I'm able to find those things to be true for myself. I'm able to see a visual reality that I wouldn't be able to normally see. I'm able to see a moral reality that I wouldn't normally be able to see. So in pursuing art, all of my morals and all of my values are reestablished in terms of what I believe to be real or what I believe to be moral, rather than the morals that are set or the values set on me by society. And every time I find a new experience through the artworks, every time I find a new thing to be true in the artworks, I find something new or valuable about myself that I didn't understand. So by going to the next level of the artwork, by going to the next level of my experience through them, by graduating to the next aesthetic, by pursuing the next experience, I find out what I need to find out to satisfy myself, so that in the long run I'll be able to understand more about what I feel is true, but what I feel is more valid for myself. That's why it's necessary. That's why I'm driven. I'm just like driven on to find more, to realize more, and to experience more, to come in contact more with my true feelings. That's why I keep on trying to evolve to the next step, the next level, the next understanding of myself through the art.
What I like most is the magic that each artist creates when they come up with an idea and work with their materials and come up with a coherent and powerful statement. I have never ceased feeling that that is a form of magic. And when you think back to any of the former civilizations, what we know about those civilizations is informed by the work of its writers, its poets, its musicians, and its artists.
How do you think art has actually changed?
Well, I think in the United States it's changed by becoming a bankable commodity, whereas earlier in the century it was primarily a labor of love. That doesn't mean that every piece of art is a bankable commodity, but there are artists who have attained astronomical sums of money for their work, which is fine. But I think that the marketplace in general is a separate issue from aesthetics. I think the artist makes the work in the studio and is concerned with totally different issues than the issues that then arise once the art goes out of the studio, goes to the galleries, goes to the auction houses, is collected, and like anything else, like a stamp that's been printed upside down. Money is in function of supply and demand. So I'm not a specialist, and I'm not particularly interested in economics. I'm much more interested in the aesthetics and the human forms of expression that art provides. You have a variety of individuals, and each one of those individuals articulates his or her own experience in his or her own style. And so the richness of art lies in its great pluralism, if you will, rather than what happens to be fashionable.
Exposing the foundations of the museum is the piece. That's the reason I wanted to do it, so you could see.
Is that a double entendre? Does it have a double meaning?
That's kind of up to you guys.
So you want us to project, is the idea?
I want you to see this part right here, right where the earth meets the last piece of concrete, right there.
You want us to see this piece right here?
Right down in here.
Why does that piece have significance for you?
What's the last? It's the last piece of museum. It's the beginning of the earth.
It's the last piece of the museum, and it's the beginning of the earth.
Right.
Why do you want to show us that?
Well, it's the basis upon which all the rest of the place is built. Because it raises the issue of what the function of the structure is and what the nature of a museum is. It raises those questions.
And what are those questions as far as you're concerned?
What is the importance of the building versus the stuff it's supposed to be housing? I mean, is it just a tin roof over the artworks? I mean, you look at these holes, and there's something kind of spooky about them. Number one, these three things here look like tombstones. And there's something spooky about being down here. This hasn't been uncovered for 150 years, you know. There's a couple roads, there's a brick courtyard, got a lot of horse bones out of here. Obviously, this is where we're going to end up someday. This is where everything in this building is going to end up someday. So there's something, it's not a premonition, but there's something that reminds you of your own mortality, I think, being down in these holes and just even looking at them. So the glitz that's above you, the white walls and the clean room and the expensive paintings on the walls, I think this is a nice contrast to them. It's a little bit like experimental physics. You know, you kind of go off on in some kind of weird area that isn't useful, isn't practical, isn't about money, you know, to find out other information, you know, so that the world becomes a sense, you know, richer, more interesting place. Because reality is basically a fiction of our imagination, so, you know, I'm trying to make it more real, more interesting, you know, fuller world.
Probably because I realize that we're just mortal men, and we're going to live and die, and we're here for a short period of time. And in that short period of time, if we want to leave something for humanity to look at, for history, we have to find something that we're able to do. And if it's art, you should do art. If you're able to act as a conduit for the artist to show their work, then it's what you have to do. And I have nothing else I can do. There's no other occupation I can foresee me doing other than selling art. That gives me the biggest thrill. It gives me a feeling like nothing else. All the hoopla involved in it, all the hangers-on, all of those problems that go along with it do get to be very tiring. But when you can touch art and you can touch people's lives, both people who need art for collections and people that need art for their souls to make art, it makes it all worthwhile. I love to feel that I own part of history, and to be involved in making history in the art world is the most exciting thing you can do, because there's nothing as gratifying and satisfying as looking at a piece of art made by a person for the sake of making the art, not involved with the process of making art for money, not involved in making art for just to be maintained in some collection where it won't be shown, but hopefully to walk into a museum and see art made by artists who you've worked with, who you've grown with, represented, and to see their work hanging in museums, to see their work properly displayed for history, and knowing that in 10, in 50, in 500, and maybe 1,000 or 2,000 years from now, you were able to help the process of controlling and helping an artist and helping these things materialize. And the benefits and the glories are that I'm able to touch a world that is the most special world there is.